Hi. I am hopping on for my Friday Night Live, and I know that I am not at the right time. But last Friday was a family day, and so we got busy doing other stuff, and I completely forgot about it. I didn't want that to happen today. And I've got some other things that I need to do this afternoon or this evening. So I wanted to hop on and at least have something waiting here for you. If you're not going to get on here until 5 o'clock Central later on tonight, I wanted something to be here. So I just finished teaching a class, like literally just a couple of minutes ago, and I've got something else that I need to run off and do. But I thought that I would carry over something from the class that I just taught today, and it was helping federal employees complete their retirement application. A lot of times we don't get that personal help anymore because we do all have regional human resources offices, and they do have retirement counselors, but it's not as if we can just like walk down the hall, walk into somebody's office and sit down with them and actually fill out the retirement paperwork. So this has been a super popular class, and I limit it to only 25 people. Every time we announce it, it sells out. So I wanted to bring in one of the topics that is always a big one for discussion in those classes, and that's about survivor benefits. And I explain survivor benefits as being kind of like life insurance, in that if you leave a survivor benefit, you pay money while you're living so that after you pass away, someone else is able to get money. Now, when it comes to the survivor benefit in filling out that federal retirement application, we have something that's called insurable interest, which can open the door to many other people that I can leave money to. I'm not going to talk about that tonight, just in the interest of time. But on the first page of my application, when they ask me about survivor benefits, it's for my spouse. That could be my current spouse or a court-ordered former spouse or a combination of the two. And one of the things that everybody wants to talk about, since the survivor benefit is money, right? And it's kind of like life insurance. They want to talk about life insurance. And they say, I think if I leave life insurance, then I'll be able to leave more money. It will cost me less, and that's just what I'm going to do. There are a lot of companies out there that will try to sell you life insurance as well, because of course they're making a profit on that, and they don't always know what all the rules are. So what I want people to know is that life insurance is not the question. Health insurance is the question. The question needs to be, is your spouse on your federal employees' health benefits? And if they are, do you want them to be able to continue to have health insurance if something were to happen to you? If they're on your insurance and you want them to be able to keep that if something happens to you, you've got to leave them a survivor benefit. You have to. Now, if you don't, okay, if my spouse is on my insurance right now and I don't leave the survivor benefit when I retire, then as long as nothing happens to me, he can keep the insurance. But if I die before he does and I didn't leave him a survivor benefit, his insurance is going to be canceled on the day that I pass away. Now, sometimes that's not a really big deal to people. Okay, for me personally, it wouldn't be, because my husband has his insurance through the military. So he doesn't need to get a survivor benefit for health insurance purposes. If you're married to another government employee, you don't need to leave them a survivor benefit in order for them to have health insurance either, because they also work or worked for the government. And even if you've carried them your entire career under a self plus one or self and family, if something happens to you, then they could switch over to their own insurance. So not all of us are concerned about the health insurance, but lots of us are. You need to know, if you want them to have the health insurance for the just in case something happens to you scenario, you've got to leave them a survivor benefit in most instances. And I gave you 2 examples when that was not going to be the case. If health insurance isn't the issue, or even if it is, and then we want to start talking about the money, what I want to do is keep it super simple. So I just make a very simplistic T on a piece of paper. I would write my spouse on one side and myself on the other, and then capture the money that we each have. So on my side, I would have my federal retirement is this much. My state retirement is this much. My investments are that much. My TSP is this. My Social Security is that. And then on my husband's side, I do the same thing. to go, okay, his military retirement is this, and his Social Security, and his TSP, and his whatever. Then I'll cover up one of the spouses. So if I'm gone, my money's gone, does he have enough on his side of the T to live in the way that we want him to? If he doesn't, how short is he? And that can help us decide between leaving under FERS 25% or 50%, under CSRS anything from $1 per month up to 55% of the retirement, or as long as we're not concerned about the health insurance, then here's where maybe we do have a discussion about the differences between leaving life insurance versus leaving the survivor benefit. So we look at the health insurance first, we look at the money second, then we talk to the spouse and see what it is that they would prefer. You're not going to make a decision about survivor benefits until you are actually filling out that federal retirement application, which is why this becomes such a topic in the class that I taught today. A lot of times, employees may be under the impression that they have already made the survivor benefit election. And the reason they feel that way is because they got a retirement estimate from their agency. And it says on there, the cost is this and the benefit is that. And people will say, when did I do this? You didn't. You won't until you're actually completing your paperwork. But if you are retiring and you do not leave the full survivor benefit to your spouse, which is 50% FERS, 55% CSRS. If you're married on the day that you retire and you don't do that, then your spouse has to fill out a form in front of a notary agreeing with your decision. So until we get that signature, which won't be until you're filling out your retirement paperwork, we have to say, okay, let's assume that they're not going to sign off on it. So what is the 50%? What is the 55%? Okay, so that's when you will fill out the paperwork, is at retirement. You can change your mind in a very limited number of circumstances. Number one, between the time that you actually file your application with your agency and it's processed by OPM, you can change your mind. Once that's done, you have 18 months, during which time you can increase, but no longer decrease, your survivor benefit. And then after a year and a half, unless your spouse predeceases, the two of you get a divorce, or you get married after retirement, you can't change your mind. If your spouse passes away or the two of you get a divorce, you would send that paperwork to OPM, you would stop paying, you don't get a refund, but you wouldn't pay for it anymore. If you weren't married at retirement, but you get married at some point in the future, you have up to 2 years after the date of that marriage to come back and pick up the survivor benefit if you want to. It's completely optional, but they will allow you to do that. So this is not free. Like life insurance, hey, Ellen, like life insurance, the survivor benefit has a cost to be able to leave the financial benefit. So the cost depends on whether the person is CSRS, the old retirement system, or FERS, the new retirement system, and exactly what they elect. So the first one I have up here right now is for CSRS. CSRS employees, retirees, are charged a formula, which equals 2.5% of the first $3,600 that they choose to leave, and 10% of everything over the top of the first $3,600. So here I've got someone whose retirement is $25,000 a year, and we're going to use all of that. So that becomes the base. 2.5% of 3,600 is always 90. When I subtract 3,600 from the base, in this example, I have a remainder of 21,400, and they charge 10% of that. So the cost here is $178 and change per month. And what the spouse gets when this person passes away is 55% of the base. So the base here was the retirement, the $25,000. So what they're going to receive is $13,750. That's per year. And at the bottom, you can see I divided it by 12. So I'm paying $178 a month every month while I live. That's coming right out of my retirement check in order to leave my spouse a benefit that equals $1,062 a month. And again, I can pick anything I want with CSRS. It's really, really flexible. So the second example was just sitting down and talking to my spouse and deciding to leave a $10,000 base. So still, I'm going to pay the 2.5% of the 3,600, 10% of everything over the top, and still the spouse is going to get 55% of whatever we picked as a base. So I just wanted to give you an example of what that looks like. Most of our employees are now under FERS. So under FERS, I don't get to pick whatever I want. I can have 0 or 25% of whatever my annuity is, or 50% of whatever my annuity is. If I leave the 25%, it costs me 5. If I leave the 50%, it costs me 10. So I've got both examples right here on this screen. So here I've said my annual annuity is $15,000. On the left, if I elected the full survivor benefit, I pay 10% of that, which is $1,500, but I'm paying it monthly. So I just divide by 12 to find out they're going to be taking away $125 a month from my annuity payment. If I die before my spouse does, then they get 50% of what I was getting. And again, I just divided it by 12. On the right-hand side, I decided that I was going to do the 25. Now remember, if I do anything less than 50% FERS, anything less than 55% CSRS, then my spouse has paperwork to fill out in front of a notary. So on the right-hand side, I said, okay, you know what? I talked to my husband about it. The two of us agreed that the 25% survivor benefit was going to be enough. He signed the paperwork. So now I'm only paying 5%. So there, that 5% is going to be $750 a year, but if I divide that by 12, my cost is going to be $62.50 a month. His benefit, if I die before he does, is 25% of what I was getting. So that's going to be $3,750 a year, but if I divide by 12, it's $312.50 a month that he would be receiving. So it's super important that people know what they need to talk to the spouse about, because really it's the two of you and only the two of you who can make that really good decision for yourself. But if you don't know what goes into this, then you don't necessarily know how to make the best decision. Health insurance is priority. They don't need that. Then start talking about the money. And that's where maybe you go, okay, I'm going to pay this every single month, or I'm willing to pay whatever the life insurance policy is going to cost me, and we'll go with that. I would love to answer any questions if you have them. Like I said, I just didn't want to ghost you for the second Friday in a row. I'm going to be hopping off here because I've got some other things that I need to do. I hope that you are safe and taking care of yourself. Things have been really crazy in Texas for the last few days. It's supposed to be in the 80s come the weekend, so it's crazy. It's just crazy. Ellen, I'm so glad to see you pop up. Really, thank you for stopping by. If you are watching on the replay, don't be shy about letting me know that you're here, and always let me know if you have questions or you want more information about any of the topics. I am more than happy to talk to you about it. Take care of yourself, okay?